Steven, remember that mentalist that showed up to the Jets facility on that episode of Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
You think he could have done them a solid?
What do you mean?
If you think about it, that guy is able to kind of like read people's minds and somewhat see into the future. He could have been like, "Hey, Aaron, maybe rest that calf up a little bit more."
Did it take you a week to think of this joke? What made you think of that?
I was just watching the Jets and Cowboys. I was like, "Oh fuck, who could have saw this coming?" I was like, "Wait a minute, didn't they have like a psychic come and visit them?"
Yeah.
Guy
And
seems like a real asshole now with that Jets at 49ers Super Bowl prediction.
Jets 40. Yeah. Well, maybe his real prediction was you'd have a season-ending injury that would devastate your entire fan base and pretty much ostensibly end your season. And I don't know if you could predict that.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like, let's say that the mentalist is like, "All right, guys, thanks for having me out. Great coming out here. Go Jets." And he's like, "Robert, can I talk to you in the office alone?" If he goes to Robert Sala and was like, "Listen, all that I did, that I just showed you in front of the team is real. I can see the future. I can read people's minds, and I'm going to tell you that Aaron Rodgers is going to tear his Achilles 4 plays into the season." If you're Robert Sala, do you take that information and run with it, or are you like, "Get the fuck out of here"?
The latter? You kidding me? Get out. Get out my office. What are you talking about? You putting that juju in the air? Don't put that in.
But he proved everything by reading everybody's mind. Now the question is it as a mind reader? He's not a fortune teller. He can't see the future.
I don't know. Maybe this guy Oz. I don't think there's anything he can't do. I think telling the future. I think he's got something wrong with him. He's got something where, like, wrong with him in a good way. He's got something different about him. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Where maybe he can predict the future and he just doesn't want to reveal anything. He's like the timekeepers in those Marvel movies and Doctor Strange, which I didn't understand. Just people who know what's going to happen, but they don't want to reveal it so they don't ruin the future. Did that happen in that movie?
I didn't understand that whole sentence. Anyway, just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, reviewing everything that went down week 2. We will review the Raider game, the Niner game, and everything in between for week 2 of the NFL. But before we get to that, let's talk about Monday Night Football last night.
Oh,
I love having 2 games going on. What I wish they were spread out a little bit so they're not staggered where one's going on while another one's going on. Yeah, I wish. But that's probably the best scenario because it's 2 East Coast cities having the games go on, so you don't want to go too late. But I do remember back in the day, and you'll remember this, Steven, how many times were the Raiders put on the back end of a doubleheader late at night where it was always like a Monday Night Football doubleheader week 1, and then the Raiders would be the later game. That's where Sean Merriman sacked Aaron Brooks like 5 or 6 times. It was like every year where we're like, great, we could open another Raiders season on national football or national TV, getting their ass kicked by the Chargers or Broncos. You could do it, but the first thing I thought of last night was I just like 2 games going on. But you could have spread it out a little bit.
I remember when Jamarcus Russell looked good, actually, in the opener against the Chargers one time. Yep. They were wearing those
Lewis Murphy.
The away whites with the gray letters.
Yeah, that was the AFL throwback season.
Lewis Murphy, what did he do in that one?
There was a controversial call, if you remember, where it was it was even before the Calvin Johnson play, where he caught it in the end zone, but he did not maintain possession all the way down.
Yeah, I try to forget about those days.
It's still just wrapped around my brain.
Well, I'm different to you. I don't like the doubleheader. I don't.
Pray tell why.
Because I'd rather focus on. I like watching 2 games at once, but Monday Night Football, I'd rather focus on one game. It's prime time. There's only 2 teams that should be in prime time, and everyone has their eyes on them. And then last night, it just felt like they had to it felt like the Browns and Steelers was the big brother, and the Panthers and the Saints was the little brother,
Yeah.
and just tagging him along. Hey, let's just make sure we bring the little brother along so that he doesn't get left behind, it doesn't cry and feel bad. And I know that because I was the little brother all my life, and that's exactly what happened to me. But the Saints and the Panthers were the little brother, and I don't know. I just don't like to. I like watching, all games at once on a Sunday, but watching 2 games at a time during Monday Night Football, I don't know. I'd rather focus on one.
Okay. That's totally
Mhm.
fair. But
Which I did.
so, but you do have YouTube TV, and you can do the double box. That's the luxury of that.
Yeah, I didn't watch. I didn't have any interest in watching Saints Panthers though.
You didn't want to see Derek Carr?
No.
Dude's built like a lion, Steven.
Oh, stop.
Have you seen the commercial yet?
Not yet. I couldn't
Okay.
find it.
It's not on YouTube for whatever reason, but it's out there. Like
Because
if you're
clearly it's not out there. Where did you find it? You sent
dude,
it to me.
Ernie's, help me in the chat here. Otis Bird, AJ Cruz, Skills. Has anyone seen this Derek Carr line commercial for the UFOs, little sandals? Help me out. No, I mean it's easy to do. You could do the YouTube thing. Have your little Zen moment in between. You like those things where you can have the Zen moment or keep watching commercials?
Yeah, nothing like getting the Whopper, 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 Whopper song and then the hummingbird right after. It's like too late for the hummingbird on YouTube TV. You should have skipped over that damn Burger King commercial.
No, nothing like. I was at the athletic club with our friends Jacob and Elena, and when the Whopper Burger King commercial came on, you best believe everybody in the bar sang it. And when I say everyone, I mean me and Elena and Jacob.
Did you guys get kicked out?
No.
Somebody should have kicked you out. Was it that was on when? That was Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
You think that Saints fan that we ran into at the athletic club was watching the game last night?
No. Oh, there? Yeah, maybe actually. I didn't see him there.
Man, I've never seen
that guy was reminded me of a young me.
Yeah, accidentally spilling drinks on people. The poor, helpless Seahawks fan.
I never spilled any drinks on anybody.
Who's just trying to get through the season, and the Saints fan who's, I think it was actually Saints Panthers. A
year ago. Yep.
It was because it was Raiders Titans, then it was Chargers, and I think was it Jaguars that game?
Yes, because that was the game that where I was like, are they really going to play Justin Herbert with all the broken ribs?
Yes, and then there's the Saints fan who is just taking it way too seriously. The only guy in the bar. I'm all for being loud and watching the game and being zoned in, but then when it starts to impact other people, that's where you start to
screaming "fuck" at the top of your lungs at a public place is a little much.
Yeah, crossing the line.
And I've been that guy before. Anyway, let me ask you this. Nick Chubb, injury last night. Devastating.
Yeah.
Devastating. And first and foremost, let's focus on that. That sucks. Got a Monday night curse 2 weeks in a row here. Jesus.
Well, actually, if you backtrack to last season, I believe the last Monday Night Football game is when DeMar Hamlin happened.
Oh, God.
So really,
that's life and death.
Yeah, but you're still on a streak of you're still on a streak of like terrible things happening on Monday Night Football.
For Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, Chris Fowler, Dan Orlovsky, and Louis Riddick came off unscathed there. That's a combination there, though. It's better than Steve Levy, I'll say.
Interesting.
But yeah, Nick Chubb, what a devastating injury. He's, one of the best running backs in football, one of the more highest paid running backs in football. And it sucks. He's out for the season. You look back on his injury in 2015 when he was a Georgia running back, and it just sucks. Especially when you're a player of that position, and we've seen what's going on this offseason. The position's being devalued. Christian McCaffrey is leading the NFL in attempts and rushing yards, and this whole narrative that he's being overworked now seems a little ridiculous to me. When a year ago everyone was like, he's not getting the ball enough. But now you wonder, Nick Chubb's future. He's making the money now, but when his contract's up, now that he's got 2 ACLs on his, history, are the Browns inclined to bring him back? It sucks. I know a lot of people's fantasy teams, go up in flames, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is this guy's done for the year, and he's one of the more exciting running backs to watch in the league.
Did ESPN ever show the replay? I know they didn't initially because I was actually watching the game at the gym, and
look at you.
I know, right? I realized I did not exercise for a very, very long time, and I got really worried about my overall well-being. So anyway, I had it on, and obviously was watching it, and then like later on, they did show the replay. I guess I didn't have my eyes on the screen. I had the AirPods in, but I
Did
think
they?
later on they might have shown it, or maybe it was when I was walking back into the apartment when they started to show it, because I was in the apartment gym. It's not like I was 20 minutes away, so I didn't really miss much of the game. It felt like they showed it. Maybe they didn't. I don't know, but it's just awful. It's the ultimate catch 22 though, with running backs in the NFL. Like, this is the reason why running backs want to get paid, because anything can happen, like a linebacker landing awkwardly on your leg, and then your leg ends up just looking like a totally different shape.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's why teams don't want to pay running backs, because of the risk there. It's just, and especially if you work one as much as the Browns do with Nick Chubb, who is one of the best in the league. Oh, it's just feel terrible for him. Was sick for him last night. Just
Yeah.
awful watching it. It sucked the energy right out of the game. And it's as if it's not like the game was even any good either. Good Lord. Nick Chubb was the only good thing the game had going for it. What are you talking about? There were 4 turnovers between the two teams in that game. It was awful in the first quarter.
Can't you have just good defense sometimes, Steven?
No, not in
All
those
right.
situations.
I'll get to the game a little bit here. I saw the replay today, I guess. There's a new angle of the play. I do not think they showed it last night, because I have never, ever heard in the history of television, we're not going to show that replay again because the injury is too gruesome. Maybe that's just me, but I've never heard that. So when that happened last night, I was like, wow. But also, I was intrigued, as everyone was. Everyone went to go look on their phones and see in slow motion what happened. And yeah, it's his knee goes backwards in and flips up in the air. And it's a gruesome scene. Believe me, it's a hard thing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah,
did think to myself,
I've seen it.
I did think to myself, should they have shown it? And maybe I'm being crazy for bringing this up, but John Lund brought this up today, and he was like, honestly, if you're in TV, it's kind of your job to show something like that. Then Tom Tolbert came in and said, like, no, that's disgusting. We don't need to see injuries like that. That's gross. I initially was like, I've never heard of anything like that before, where a TV replay they refuse to show because of how gruesome it was. And it is gruesome, but it's not any more gruesome than I think than Joe Theismann in 1985 when Lawrence Taylor had his leg come in. I know we've come a long way since then, but I was kind of shocked that they didn't do that.
I haven't really thought about it in that. I actually like that they didn't show it, because there's so much access nowadays. I don't think it's the TV's job to show it. I think you can, if you want to find it, you'll be able to find it. Like, I don't think the TV needs to force it on you. I don't think it's the broadcast's, I don't think it's their responsibility to do that. I don't know. Maybe Lund knows way more than I do about television ethics. Maybe it is their job, but to me, it's not. If I wanted to go search for it, I will, which I did, and I didn't want to see it. And yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing that's going to, for me personally, there's nothing that's going to compare to the year 2014, when I saw 3 compound fractures in the span of like a few months. First, it was Kevin Ware for Louisville at March Madness.
Yep.
Or actually, that was second. First was Anderson Silva
Yep.
at UFC fighting Chris Weidman. His leg just wrapped around Chris Weidman's leg. It was awful. Could be wrong on the opponent. Yeah, then the second was Kevin Ware for Louisville. Then the third was Paul George playing for the Team USA at the basketball kind of
God.
exhibition. I just had it on in the background and then saw it. I was bad luck for compound.
That was all the
fractures
same
that
year?
Yeah. At least
I remember when
in
Paul
that
George
span.
things happened, because I was like, God damn, in an exhibition game? That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awful.
Now, do you remember when Gordon Hayward broke his leg?
Yeah. First game of the season.
We all saw that all the time.
Hmm.
So while I understand why they didn't show it, all I could think about, honestly, was me back at NFL Network and how producers are, where they don't really know what's going on half the time. Like when you are a PA assigned to a game in NFL Network, Your job is basically to be the scapegoat if anything is not included in the highlight. So when something that significant happens, the producer's going to come out and be like, "Where the fuck is the replay of Nick Chubb's injury?" And you're like, "There is no replay." I can just see in my head now some producer going, "Bullshit. They always show a replay. Find it." You got to scour, you and your editor got to scour the whole game and look for it. And the reality is, there is no replay. Um, it may be something we do more in sports television. It actually could be nice, where we're not focusing on, if it bleeds, it leads aspect of television. But at the same time, when you say we're not going to show it because it's too gruesome, then the natural instinct of everybody is, well, I got to check this out. How gruesome was it?
I don't think that's the natural instinct of everybody, though. I think some people respect the fact that it didn't show it and they don't want to bother to go look at it.
Okay, but what was your reaction?
Well, my reaction was I want to go see it.
Yes.
But I also respected them for not showing it because I know there's a lot of people who don't want to see that sort of thing. And out of respect for Chubb and his family as well, instead of showing that on national television.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally understand that too.
Yeah.
It is, what would happen if they did show it? Like, remember, it's Joe Buck doing the game. And we have this joke on Tolbert Codes today. But when Joe Buck says, we're not going to show that play because it's too gruesome, then they show it. All I could think of was just Joe Buck going, "That's a disgusting act. And it's terrible our cameras were rolling for that."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. They didn't show that. And maybe for the better. But as far as the game itself,
and his screaming too, I think that Mike's really picked up on the field.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, you could hear like somebody screaming in the background in agony. I don't know if it was Nick Chubb because the camera was off him, but I think it was. And Ernie might be right here. Did the Hamlin injury change things? Maybe.
Yeah, that could be the case. That could be the case.
There's so many that it's actually kind of.
But though, sorry, not to cut you off, but they did show the replay of the Hamlin injury a lot.
Exactly, and I think that's why there's always those people who say, "Why are they showing this? Stop showing us the replay." Like it's kind of. I mean, it's not this. We're comparing apples to oranges here, but all under the same theme. It's like complaining about Shanahan giving McCaffrey too many touches.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't give him any at all. Well, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like in some senses, it's never, you can never find that balance, that middle ground. That people want.
I think overshowing a replay of an injury is disgusting, but I don't think there's anything wrong with just showing an initial one and be like, "Ooh, for our viewers, you may want to turn away. This is a little much."
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong either.
Yeah. As far as the game itself, you thought it was a bad game. I
didn't think it was a bad game. I'm telling you, leading up to the injury, it was a bad game.
Hey, simmer down now.
Yeah, you're taking words out of my mouth, damn it.
Okay.
Or putting words in my mouth.
So how would you, I'm not putting anything in your mouth, but if you had to characterize the game last night, what would you say?
Physical. Very physical, especially in the second half. I don't know. All the energy was sucked out of that game in the first half, but I'm going to kind of look at this game is this is the one where I think a lot of people fell in disbelief of what Deshaun Watson can actually do with the Browns. And right now that guaranteed contract is looking like one of the worst contracts in football at the moment. He just looked uncomfortable. He made a couple of nice throws here and there. But I also think the Steelers defense can be a lot of fun to watch when they are now getting into the swing of things into the season. I know people want to look back at that and say, look at how the Niners offense treated them. It was week one. The Niners offense was ready to roll. That Steelers defense wasn't. Give that defense a couple of weeks to work and then some real game time. Plus, they weren't going up against that great of an offense. But yeah, just very physical. And I got to say, very, very impressed by the Browns fill-in running back. I can't remember his name.
Jerome Ford.
He was a bruiser, man.
Yeah. He busted that, I think 69-yard run. Hey, now.
Right.
But I would say that they're probably going to have to get another person in there in the backfield. They could easily sign Kareem Hunt. He obviously knows the system very well. They could trade for Cam Akers because it's for the second year in a row. It's been made abundantly clear by Sean McVay to the media. We don't want this guy around anymore. Yeah, Deshaun Watson. I'll ask you, Stephen. What contract looks worse right now, Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson?
Well, depends. Contract Deshaun Watson, but trade Probably
Yeah.
Russell Wilson.
Well, people forget the trade value for Deshaun Watson too. It was 3 first-round picks plus some other picks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looked lost. Like he looked like every time he got sacked, he was going to fumble the ball. And even the throws he was making, totally just that's way off on the sideline, not even close. I know that there's some questionable, you know, the outcome of the game, the 3rd and 7, where it looked like maybe Joey Porter Jr. was all over whoever the receiver was. I think Donovan Peoples Jones on pass interference. Ticky tacky play, but you after that throw and it falls incomplete, you saw a shot of Myles Garrett on the sideline, and he just looks like this is our quarterback.
Yeah.
This is the guy we traded all that shit for. Could have had the same results with Baker Mayfield.
I also think you had the injury to Chubb in the back of his mind too.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. But I wonder sometimes if Kevin Stefanski wanted to do this. Probably not. I think this feels like an owner, Jimmy Haslam, being like, let's go all in on Deshaun Watson, Andrew Barry, who's more of an analytical guy, and Kevin Stefanski. They're just like, fuck, we got to roll with this. And at the time, yeah, I mean, like he's coming off of the allegations and everything, but you're like, okay, Deshaun Watson, he makes the team better. He's looked terrible. And last night, he may have just been playing a better defense, but I haven't seen him be like the Houston Texan Deshaun Watson since 2020.
Right. Yeah, Stefanski hadn't built up enough equity to where he can override Haslam's decisions. It's not like the relationship with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, where it's been widely reported that Shanahan's the one who makes the decisions and John Lynch is kind of the one who's there to really just look good, make the deals, talk to the players, be a very personable type of individual to them. And it's a relationship that works very well. But sometimes when the owner gets in the way, when the front office, the higher ups get in the way, that's when things can get a little dicey. And I don't think that any coach in their right mind would have wanted to take on Deshaun Watson and all the baggage that came along with him at the time. And you're trying to just resurrect his career. Like, I wouldn't want that. But I don't, man, where were the Browns headed before Deshaun Watson? Where were they with their quarterback? Was it Baker Mayfield? It was Baker
It was
Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. He was in the last year of his contract, and it was kind of a lame duck year where they were going to see what they got from him because the season before he tore his labrum and kind of hijacked the season where he really should have been sat down and still played, and he was terrible.
Also, the Watson contact with the ref. What did you make of that whole thing? Because obviously they got in the scrum. He had the 2 face mask, which is almost unheard of for a quarterback nowadays. There's only been like one other guy since 1991 that did it. Josh Dubow tried to put out that stat. I didn't even know, but that's the fact, is that there's one other guy since 1991 who's gotten 2 face masks in a single game, one quarterback.
Trent Dilfer?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just know there's another quarterback. Deshaun Watson's the second quarterback.
Come on, Dubow.
But
well,
it was a trivia question. I didn't follow up. But Watson also just played like he didn't, or he talked to the media afterwards like he didn't know what they were talking about. He was like, oh, this is just a conversation. It was just it was nothing. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, let's be real. Deshaun Watson never really takes accountability for wrongful touching.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's one thing to get a 1 personal foul penalty as a quarterback, but 2 is insane. And yeah, he shoved the ref out of the way. And everything that I've been told about with football is when you touch a ref, you're out for the game. So at first I didn't know what was going on because I think Dove Kleiman tweeted that out. And I'm like, oh, Dove. But then everybody had the video. And I was like, yeah, he touched him. He pushed him. And I don't know why he was able to stay in the game. Yeah, the Browns are in trouble. I think well, I don't know. They could have been just playing a really good defense, but Deshaun Watson looked just lost. And yeah, I don't know what you do with that whole situation. As far as the Steelers, their offense looks a little rusty too. Kenny Pickett looks. I mean,
Right.
he may need to find some groove to feel comfortable where he left off a season ago. It's their defense, man. From the pick 6 to Alex Highsmith to the fumble recovery by TJ Watt, they won that game with turnovers. And it was like the most like defensive oriented game where a team just took over the game by scoring on defense since I've seen it like the 2006 Bears when they came back against the Arizona Cardinals in the Denny Green game, crowned their ass.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Watt's unbelievable. Like I think we forgot about him a year ago because he got hurt. But he's right there. You can make the case. I think some people say that Aaron Donald's not in the, you know, he's not. He doesn't have the title anymore as the best defensive player in football. But there really is no wrong answer, I would say, when you say T.J. Watt, Nick Bosa, or Micah Parsons.
No, it's pick the best type of poison, but both those guys coming from the outside. I think we actually talked about Alex Highsmith last week or last year rather, not even this past week, but this last year. Like Alex Highsmith took a large step forward, a huge significant leap, and I think he earned a contract for it. So the Steelers clearly believed in him. It was a fully defensive game, and that's what it's looking like it'll be from here on out. I agree that offense, it's stale, man. We said that after the game against the Niners. There's just not a lot of creativity, not a lot of motioning out of the backfield. I think Najee Harris, love that he's a Bay Area guy, but
Yeah.
he's really powerful. But as far as speed and making a decision, a quick decision, then like bursting through a lane, doesn't happen very much with Harris. I don't know if he's the guy. Jaylen Warren looks like a better back right now. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of the offense. I love George Pickens. George Pickens is sick,
Yep.
but there's definitely some weak spots there.
Yeah, no, I would agree. As far as the first game, simple. Just Bryce Young is learning how to be a pro, and Derek Carr looks like Derek Carr still to me. That interception he threw, there was 3 white jerseys around, 1 black jersey, and that's the difference right now. Where Jimmy Garoppolo threw his fair share of interceptions on Sunday, but Derek just threw like the difference between Derek and Jimmy at this point is Jimmy just has happy feet and takes the sack there, where Derek just let me try to make a play. Oh man, and it was just bad. Um, I think the Saints have a really good defense, but offensively they, ugh. Maybe they just need Alvin Kamara back. But it's kind of hard. Like that first game was hard to watch. I mean, I guess his favorite, like Taysom Hill. I forgot he was on the team and he's getting run, switching off. That's how you avoid the 3 quarterback thing. Is make Taysom Hill the tight end, and then you can use him in those wildcat packages. But yeah, Derek Carr needs to kind of up his game a little bit, and their only bright spot on offense, I would say right now, is Rashid Shaheed being the number 1 guy basically when they need a big play.
Feels like a bizarre kind of ending to that game. If you're down by 11, right, and
Uh-huh.
you need to score quick, you need at least 2 scores there. Like, wouldn't you want to try and push the ball a little more downfield instead of trying to run like a drive that you would say at the beginning of the game to run out the clock? Like an 11 play, 75-yard drive when you have how much time was left?
About a minute and 30.
About 3 minutes 14 is when the Panthers had the ball.
Okay.
When you have 3:14, I don't know, running an 11 play drive to score a touchdown, that doesn't seem like the best way to win. And that shows me that the Panthers are just in a mode where they're just trying to work out their offense. They didn't care about winning that ball game.
No, 100%. Frank Reich was just trying to get his young quarterback some reps at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Especially when the defense is just not going all out. He can rest easy and kind of have like a preseason drive.
And did you see the Shaq Thompson injury? Because I did not see it.
I did not see that, and that's unfortunate. I guess he's out for the season too.
Yeah, fractured fibula. Oh my gosh,
that sucks. Too many injuries happening this early in the season, but that's actually when.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be more incentive to play guys in the preseason now, just with all these injuries happening, or if they're just going to keep moving.
I think you will. I think you're going to see a lot. I think from offense to defense, I think the slow play in the first 2 weeks and the amount of injuries, I think you're going to see guys kind of want to play a little bit. Like, there's more of a risk, obviously, to get injured in the preseason, but you can get your body a little better for when it's time to really go.
Yeah, if it's worth risking that, then for say risking an injury early on in the regular season, it might be worth that risk.
Yeah. All right, Steven. We'll talk about the Raiders and Niners here, but before we
Mm.
do, I lost.
Yeah.
Our picks. Really close. 22-21. And I'll ask the Ernies and everybody on the chat here. Should we make I could have won because I picked the Steelers to win yesterday. And that's an upset. Would it be bad? And believe me, I'll take my punishment today. But should going forward, we count it's weird to change a rule in the middle of the season, but I'll ask, people on the chat here. Should we have 2 points for an underdog winning?
See, isn't this interesting? You can answer that, Ernie's. It's just, how the mind works when you lose.
I was just, I was adding the totals up and I was like, I lost by 1.
Then
But
we
that Steelers pick was.
Then we should change the rules.
Ernie 2's with me. I'd say so. Okay. We'll change it going forward. Oh, it's tied.
Oh.
All right. We need AJ Cruz or Otis Bird or Skills Report to break the tie here.
Oh man, you're like that fantasy football commissioner who changes the rules in the middle of the season so that they get the
don't
advantage.
do that shit. No.
Mm-hmm.
This is a friendly thing between two friends on a podcast. So I will gladly take my punishment. I am going to do this, but here's the thing, Steven. So I don't come across as pussing out.
AJ, put in AJ Otis. Where's Skills at? Skills said he was going to be here. Where's Skills at?
I saw him in there.
Put in your vote. Do you think that if we pick an underdog correctly, that should count for 2 points? Or do you guys just not care because this is something stupid that we're doing between the both of us and this doesn't really have much of an effect on you?
Yeah, that's fair.
Either way. Either way's fine. Either way. Either way's fine.
I lost. I'm gonna take my lashing. I have here. You get to pick, Steven. I have the bomb evolution. This sounds like it's gonna be worse than the bomb beyond insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Apollo, the last dab.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I've been battling a little bit of a cold and a cough.
Oh, more excuses.
Yeah, I know. I'm willing to. I mean, it could help. Like I don't know what the science says, but if you put, obviously it may clear up your sinuses. I'm feeling better, but this could totally just kill whatever is ailing me, or it could make me more ill. Like what happened to you last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I leave it up to you, Steven. Should I do this punishment today, or should I do it on Saturday? And also I leave it up to you between the two sauces, what you like me to do.
Oh. Well, here's okay. Here we go. I'll give you a pick. You either do it tonight and have the last dab Apollo, or you wait till Saturday, then you do the bomb. Not both, just the bomb, because I know the bomb's worse. I've had that last Apollo before. It's really hot, but it's actually tastes really good. So the bomb apparently just tastes like gasoline. So which one would you prefer? You do tonight, you do the last dab Apollo. You go Saturday, you do the bomb.
I had a little cough earlier today, but now it's kind of clearing up.
Mm-hmm.
My sinuses are come and go a little bit. I'm sneezing here or there. You might see me wipe my nose. I'm going to try this out. Let's do it.
Tonight.
Let's do it right now.
You're going to do the last dab Apollo. All right. Would you like a little bit of music or something?
I think I'll be all right. All right. I got a pita chip here.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to put that on.
That'll be good.
Grab a little tissue paper so I don't make a mess.
While
I situate this, Steven, why don't you give me your impressions on the Raider game between the Bills and Raiders, 38-10?
It went as expected, right? I guess I had a little more high hopes in my pick because I know I had the Raiders to cover, but ultimately had the Bills winning. Look, I think
forgot to shake it up. Good. I've been watching the hot ones for so long.
This Raiders team is what we thought they were. Denny, we are who they thought they were. They are who we thought they were. Like, they are not a good team. They're still working on things. And I think that the defense clearly can't stay on the field with some prolific type of offense like the Bills. And the coaching, as far as Josh McDaniels, like I'm going to go on record here. I don't see the Raiders really winning anything while Josh McDaniels is still the head coach, because he just seems to make these boneheaded decisions, like leaving Devontae Adams late in the game in the fourth quarter to have Garoppolo try and throw a deep ball down the middle and have Adams just get cracked. Just put him in danger. Like, what are you doing?
2 weeks in a row where a receiver got concussed at the end of the game.
But I'll say this. You're not going to get anywhere when your running back has negative yards.
Yeah.
Like if you could find me a team, I don't know, maybe we need Josh Dubois of the AP to find this on Twitter. But has there ever been a team where the running back has gone for -2 yards and the team's actually gone on to win? It'd be really hard to find that.
Starting a running back. I can tell you an instance where the starting quarterback threw for negative yards and won the game.
Which one was that?
David Carr versus the Raiders, 2006.
Oh, damn.
Great defense, horrendous offense. All right, Steven, I got it ready.
Okay.
Can you see the dab on there?
Oh, yeah, that's a good amount. Good chunk.
All right, here we go.
All right. Enjoy it. Just to let everyone know, Derek really likes hot things. It's like kind of disconcerting. First time we ever had Wingstop, he just gets 10 atomic wings and starts eating them like it's nothing. Didn't even use ranch. What are you, a psycho? Not eating Wingstop with ranch? The ranch is the best. How is it?
It's hot.
You seem to be handling it okay.
It's not terrible, though.
Yeah?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it kicks in.
Uh-huh.
All right.
I hope you're in a lot of pain.
You keep talking, Steven.
Yeah. Oh, and so they're not going to win anything if Jacobs is going for -2 yards. But I do have a problem with Jimmy Garoppolo's throw from the end zone. What is it? You know what we need to do? Because I'm also thinking of Justin Fields at the same time that I'm thinking this. What we need to do, we need to ban the screen pass if you're inside your own 10-yard line. Ban it. Don't do it. It's not going to work. All right. You're going to leave some sort of opening for the defensive line, especially with the way the Raiders are playing. Like I'll focus on the Raiders here. Their offensive line, I don't know what they saw with Greg Van Roten or whatever his name is, sticking with Alex Bars and Andre James and Jermaine Illuminor, all these guys. Like they didn't do anything to bolster that offensive line. And I think that's really, really going to hurt them through this year. And it just showed against the Bills. Ed Oliver dominated on the inside, and Ed Oliver's only getting better. And I mean, could you imagine how much worse that game would have been had Von Miller been in there? I don't know. It's just McDaniels is so good at scheming up the first drive of the game, the first 15 plays. You could score the first drive all game long. But if you're not going to do anything in the second, third, or fourth quarters, then what's the point? So it was just a game that I think we expected. I'm not going to sit here and say the Raiders are now in the running for Caleb Williams. I'm not going to go that far, but this is looking like what everyone thought, which is maybe they're just a 6 to 7 win team. How you feeling? I've been filibustering like crazy.
It stays on the tongue pretty badly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I feel like I want to chop my tongue off. Raiders.
Yeah.
The opening of the game kind of reminded me of a typical John Gruden drive.
Right.
Where it was schemed up perfectly, and the rest of the game, they just did nothing.
Mm-hmm. Easy there. I know you're choked up a little bit, crying.
Yeah.
I know. It's sad talking about those Gruden years.
Yeah. Really, really, really makes you think about the
New York Times article came out. Wait, was it Wall Street Journal? It was Wall Street Journal, I think.
I think it was Wall Street Journal. Yeah.
Did it taste good at least?
It tasted fine. If that was like not as bad as the bomb, good Lord.
Yeah, that's why I kind of have a feeling that DeBomb will be a lot worse.
Ooh. Then I'll try to get these picks right.
Oh man, you know what we love when the sound of you blowing your nose. Give us a little
I didn't blow my nose, Steve. I
give
just
us a
wiped
little
it.
tissue ASMR, huh?
So anyway, yeah.
Look at you, Brian Windhorst. What do you
No. Why would I do that?
Oh, they should put on the label Last Dab Apollo. Warning. This will turn you into Brian Windhorst.
Jesse wants me to ask you if you want a slice of pizza.
No, I don't. She's out. I was actually just texting her now. Anyway, what'd you think of the we are so off the rails. What did you think of the Raiders game, Derek?
Okay. So as I said, typical like John Gruden game where the first 15 are scripted up perfectly. Great, like that you'd see right there why Jimmy Garoppolo runs this offense a lot better than Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
And great, great play for Devontae Adams to catch on the zero route to score the touchdown. And then nothing the rest of the game. You said that if the Raiders don't get one turnover against Josh Allen, who had 4 in the previous game, that it would be sad.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Josh Allen reverted back to, not reverted, he became normal Josh Allen again.
Yeah.
Not the same Josh Allen, but he played a smart game, really smart game, and he played great. He was 31 of 37 for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns. The truth of the game was really the time of possession in the second half. Just overall in the game. The Bills dominated 40 minutes to the Raiders 19 minutes and 56 seconds.
Terrible.
And their drives in the second half, they only possessed the ball 3 times in the second half, which resulted in an interception, punt, and fumble.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo, really bad interceptions, especially to linebackers. Like he's trying to check it down. He's trying to be smart. Josh Jacobs, I think, set a record or a career high for how many passes he caught in a game. And I like seeing him more in the passing game. But like you said, Steven, having -2 rushing yards the entire game, what the hell's going on? And I really don't blame him. I think it's just being the offense kind of being predictable.
Yeah. In the defense knowing what's coming, all they're going to do is just sit their linebackers underneath and just go single high with the safety. It's not like you're not forcing these guys to bring out, their dime package. You're just forcing them to go with a base, whatever they run. I mean, I think the Bills ran a 4-3. It's just, there's Josh McDaniels has to do something, or they have to take the top off the defense and get the deep ball going. I don't know. I think, you know what I want to see? I want to see Trey Tucker a little more involved.
Yeah.
I did like
the
that.
leading rusher, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that jet sweep, and it was just from the first drive alone. That's how sad it was.
I think it was like 13 yards. That's it.
Yeah. I think you need to get him a little more involved. Jimmy can't throw the deep ball, and this is where you struggle, man, because he understands how to win. Sure, he's good at playing in these close games, but sometimes he's just a little one-dimensional.
Well, that's the thing. So this is the perfect instance of, do you feel like Jimmy Garoppolo could ever bring the Raiders back down 28-10? No. When this game became 21-10, I was like, well, shit. And this is what he's going to face on a weekly basis, whether he's playing Patrick Mahomes or, Justin Herbert or any of the better quarterbacks in his conference.
Right.
Now, there were moments when he played with Kyle Shanahan where they were able to do that. He had comebacks against the Rams. He had comebacks against, he had that shootout with Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. But there was never a moment where I was like, hey, the Raiders can get back in this game. Like, they just took it over. And the amount of possessions they had in the second half really showed that, they were never really going to. And the defense sucked. Like, I know they're dealing with Chandler Jones not being there, and that whole situation is just getting worse by the day. I don't even want to get into it at this point. But yeah, they didn't let Stephon Diggs go for over 100 yards, but did Josh Allen get sacked once?
No. They have no pass rush from the interior. Max Crosby was just getting doubled the entire time. Tyree Wilson, the rookie, He is just an absolute statue and is just getting manhandled right now by these offensive linemen. He's not using any of that power we saw in that first game he participated in with the preseason. It's just non-existent. And then if you're not getting any pressure on Josh Allen, like, I don't know how much to blame the secondary, but they're going to pick you apart. Their front seven is just, it needs a total, not a total makeover because you got a couple of pieces, but their front seven needs some sort of overhaul if they want to improve at all.
Yeah. And you could also say that they're just playing a better team.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bills, like we said, Steven, you always get the Raiders for a good pick-me-up game, and that's exactly what Josh Allen needed. Now, I thought it was a little, when they didn't convert a 4th and goal, and there were other moments. I think like the first drive they punted, but the Bills were just totally dominant. So you are playing a better team, but also shows that the Raiders cannot go, toe for toe with the best team in football, which happens to play in their division. So it was a little disappointing, but kind of expected at the same time.
Yeah. But what is it? And what's it telling you if you're starting your rookie 4th round pick, Jacorian Bennett, on the outside, and you have Marcus Peters, a veteran free agent who you kind of just signed because there wasn't really any other team that was willing to take him. You have Nate Hobbs in the nickel position, who I still think is underrated. He's a very good tackler. But when they're going from their base, like, there's no one on this defense that makes the offense, instills any fear in the offense, is what I'll say. There's no, besides Max Crosby. But outside of that, you can put all your focus on Max Crosby, then just leave everyone one-on-one with the rest of the team, and you're fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're going to be totally just a shit show. There are going to be games like this where they just play better teams and they get shit stomped. But I think they're still going to be, a competitive team. 7-10, 8-9, or 8-9. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think they have a good chance against the Steelers this week on Sunday Night Football, which is interesting selection for Sunday Night Football. I know there's the rivalry and the history between the Steelers and Raiders, but I want to pick that game. Regardless, I'm not ready to go crazy yet, but this is kind of what came with the territory of Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback and not really making a lot of upgrades, kind of going with kind of a competitive rebuild this season.
Agreed.
Also, Hunter Renfrow, 1 catch in 2 weeks. And I know they're trying to involve Trey Tucker a little bit more. Trade deadline, look out. That's what I'm looking towards now with Hunter Renfrow, where I know that I think it's Mick Lombardi, who's the offensive coordinator, said he may not have shown up on the stat sheet, but he really showed up for us. When you're a wide receiver, it's the catches that matter. So if you're not getting catches and that's your whole, you're a slot receiver. You're Puka Nacua for the Raiders. You're supposed to catch a shit ton of passes. And if Hunter Renfrow is not doing that with the Raiders, he damn well could do it on another team, for my belief.
Yeah, you're trying to find a way to scheme him open in any way, which is what the Rams were doing all over the 49ers. I don't know what it is that they don't like about Renfrow. They didn't have a lot of chance to use where I think he's most talented, which is in the red zone, and just because he's not that speedy, but
he's shifty.
But he's very shifty, and he can break away from guys pretty easily in a short to intermediate route. So they didn't have a lot of those opportunities. I want to see that more. I think it'll be an interesting game on Sunday, but I also think that Steelers defense is really going to be building on that momentum they gained from this last primetime matchup. I know it's a 6-day, kind of a short week, whatever, but I think that Steelers defensive line is just going to feast, and Garoppolo could be in trouble.
Okay, I think I'm back to reality now.
Oh, good.
I honestly think for a second there, my left jaw, like the left side of my jaw, was getting numb. I was like, "What? How the fuck did who are some people on Hot Ones that just didn't get phased by it at all? Kiki was Kiki Palmer on?
Yeah,
she none of it phased her.
No, Padma Lakshmi is one. There's a couple others.
God, that's a pain in the ass. Anyway, Niner game.
Mm-hmm.
Niners win 30-23. They score 30 points for the second week in a row. So as Greg said, you could call him Purdy for 30. Don't do that. No, don't make that nickname catch on.
Why?
Because it's come on.
Purdy 30.
Don't stop it. You like that one more than he called Isaiah Oliver Twist.
Why? Because
because his
please,
name's.
sir, can I have some more? He wants another interception.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that. And like Tim Ryan. Ho ho! Give me some more, give me some more, G Pop.
Oliver Twist. Need a little more of an updated reference. That movie's
Yeah, I was gonna
damn
say.
old.
Well, it's a musical, Steven. Jesus.
Sorry.
Yeah, he interviewed him on the post game. He was like, Oliver Twist, you like that reference? He was like, yeah, sure. Anyway, as far as the game,
Yeah.
Niners win. It seemed like an evenly contested game in the first half. Matthew Stafford looking like the 2021 Stafford minus the pick sixes, but he was standing in the pocket. He didn't have to run for his life like he did a season ago. The offensive line was doing a great job. He was finding Puka Nakua, who seems like a legit receiving threat. It'd be interesting to see when Cooper Kupp comes back how they're going to use him. Tutu Atwell's not bad either. I thought
Tutu
it was.
Outwell making some pretty damn good catches,
I
too.
know it's the forgotten guy is Van Jefferson, who's been there during the Super Bowl season, and now it seems like he's the forgotten man a little bit. Kyron Williams are using a lot more. Everyone's gonna blame Brock for the overthrows on the deep throws. Yeah, he missed some guys, and that makes you wonder: could he ever complete the pass that Jimmy missed in the Super Bowl? But that's not really his game, and that's something we got to watch out for, maybe. But he played fine in the second half. As far as the first half, everyone's kind of nitpicking a little bit with the Niners, just trying to find things to bitch about because they're 2-0.
Right.
But they played fine in the first half, and then they turned it up in the second half. It all flipped when Kyron Williams was supposed to catch that ball, and it dinged off his hands and fell into Isaiah Oliver's. And then Steve Wilkes started dialing up the blitz a little bit more. The only sack on the game was Fred Warner coming through the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You like to see a little bit more pass rush from their defensive line. Bose has kind of got off to a slow start, but
Right.
that comes with the territory of sitting out most of training camp, or all of training camp, actually. Um, and then they schemed it up better in the second half. I thought that Sean McVay had a great offensive game plan in the first half, just didn't get it dunk in a little bit, and then Kyle Shanahan kind of stole in the second half where he was throwing short passes to Debo Samuel that were going for distance. So while some people are going to say, "Oh, it wasn't the Niners' best effort," it's hard to win in this league, especially on the road. And I know they dominated the Rams, but I thought they did a great job. And the Rams are better than we thought they were. Like they have a lot of young talent, a lot of no names, but Sean McVay's dialing it up, and they've got some good talent on the team.
Well, let me tell you something, D-Rock. If I'm
Don't start with that.
if I'm a 49ers fan, if I'm a 49ers fan, if I'm a 49ers fan, I love that game. I absolutely love that game because their identity right now, it's you can't beat us for 2 quarters, for 3 quarters. Like you have to play all 4 quarters. You have to play disciplined football for all 4 quarters. And oh, by the way, you're going to have to try and beat this defense. Sure, they did in the first half, but that second, like, it was still tied 17-17. And
Yeah.
Brock Purdy played like crap in the first half. I think. I don't think he played very well before
Right.
before that final drive. I thought he was just kind of dinking and dunking, missed a couple of wide open throws. I thought the offense was really moving with Christian McCaffrey. I didn't think Purdy was playing his best, but Purdy also showed that resilience that you want because there's a lot of quarterbacks who play that way, not playing their best through a few drives. And then they just pick it up when it matters most. And when it mattered most then was that 2-minute drive. And that's where the game swung. That's where the momentum totally shifted. And I don't know if Purdy meant to do it on purpose, but how about him throwing the ball out of bounds when that clock landed exactly at 1 second? I don't know if that was on intentional, but there was quite a bit of luck involved there too. I know I think we've kind of glossed over that. But in that second half, man, I think the 49ers might have found another gem with Isaiah Oliver because we were down on him after some preseason struggles. And I can't help but think of one player who we were down on after the preseason. And then come the regular season, he starts to show out. And that's Elijah Mitchell because out of necessity, he had to start. when he played against the Raiders, that one preseason game where Lance got hurt in 2021, Elijah Mitchell lined up on the wrong side of the formation. Like he looked lost out there. And then he was brought onto the team, and then he was brought out there in the regular season as a starter, and he looks like he could be a starting running back. Like Isaiah Oliver, maybe all he needed was reps, maybe just needed a little time, and he made instant impact. I mean, just tackle after tackle, the first possession, the third down tackle, which led to a punt, the fourth down tackle that he made to get the turnover, and which led to the 57-yarder, I believe, from Jake Moody. I just think, man, this is exactly the game you'd want if you're a 49ers fan. I think that just shows they are the class, not just of the NFC, but of the NFL right now. They are the team to beat.
More than the Cowboys?
I think more than the Cowboys. How can anyone trust the Cowboys knowing their history in the playoffs?
No, fair enough. But real quick, just to give credit to the other side of the ball, Puka
Yeah.
Nacua
Oh, yeah.
setting a record for receptions in first 2 games of a career, 35. This guy's a stud.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens when Cooper Kupp comes back. It's also good to see Kyle be a little aggressive. Last week, he threw the 4th and 1 to Kittle on the opening drive. He goes for the touchdown before the half. Trusts Jake Moody to kick the 57-yard field goal. No, I'm with you, Steven. While it wasn't their best effort, you are happy with what you saw because they were resilient in the second half to be more dominant in the second half when the game was tied. You
How
held,
much,
I mean,
how
the
much do we see
difference.
it? We see this all the time with good teams.
Yeah.
They might have a lackluster first half, but when it matters, in the final 24, like that's when they pick things up and they win the ball game. Like I get being annoyed and wanted to be critical of any little thing because that's what we love to do in sports. But I think if anything, this just showed how strong the 49ers are. And I think this showed the Rams aren't going away. I'm actually kind of sad that that their next matchup isn't until the very end of the season in January of 2024. Sad
Yeah,
about that.
no, that's true. But yeah, they outscore the Rams 10-6 in the second half, and it was 10-6? No,
Yeah.
13-6. Wait. Yes, 13-6. Do the math on top of my head.
Yep.
Do you buy into anything with the McCaffrey being overused thing? Because I think that's just something to look at on a stat sheet. Running backs get carries in the 20s all the time. And I remember a year ago when they traded for McCaffrey, they used him sparingly to start off because he didn't know the playbook as well. He did, but he didn't know it as well as Elijah Mitchell and the other guys. So they incorporated all the different running backs. But when you have a talent like McCaffrey, especially in the passing game, you're going to use him with the touches. So I think everyone's making a mountain out of a molehill with this shit.
I also dare anyone to get in Kyle Shanahan's shoes and have a player like Christian McCaffrey, who Mark Sanchez on the broadcast, starting to get a little personality, by the way. He's turning into a little bit of Tony Romo on the call.
Good or bad?
I think it's in a good way. I think Mark Sanchez is funny.
Okay.
But he said, like, McCaffrey is one of the more talented running backs that the game's ever seen. So if you're Kyle Shanahan and you have one of the most talented running backs at your disposal, and it's still a close game, one where you need to kind of run the clock out a little bit, and you have that guy ready, then yeah, use him. I do get it. I do get the maybe trepidation from fans, the nerve, because it seems like health is the one thing that can really stop this team, right? Injuries. That Brandon Ayuk one was a little scary. I thought Debo even hobbled a little bit before his touchdown, which was crazy. He went to the sideline, got on his knee. Maybe he needed to just catch his breath or something, then goes and breaks the tackle from 7 different Rams defenders before he scored that touchdown, which proved to be the game winner. But as far as the Christian McCaffrey stuff, I don't think you need to worry about that now. I don't know. I think there's too much to be made if nothing happens. But if something happens, then I don't know. Maybe you can question the tactics a little bit later in the season.
Nah, whatever happens, happens. That's just football. But you may have to see more McCaffrey because Brandon Ayuk is battling a shoulder injury and he's a game time decision for Thursday. That just comes with the territory playing that quickly. So he's one of the best running backs in football. They're going to use him. It is what it is. Now,
He's so sick, man. When Trent Williams just opens up a lane for him, he
Yeah.
sees it. There's we always talk about the quarterback wide receiver connection, whomever it may be. Like, I don't know, say when he was with the Seahawks, Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett, or Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. We never talk about the relationship with the running backs and their offensive linemen and the trust that they have that they can open up a lane. And on the left side, if it's Trent Williams and George Kittle and they're in their little whatever it is, 12 personnel, whoo, look out.
Now, do you think Sean McVay knew about the backdoor cover
Sure he did.
while the game was going on?
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he had some sort of inkling about it. Yes.
That was odd. Not even in the betting aspect of it, because I know there was a lot of Vegas people pissed off.
We're very happy.
Well, yeah, there's you picked the Rams to cover, you won. But what was the point of that? To kick a field goal while time expired when you're down by 10, it made 0 sense to me. You had more time when there was 20 seconds left, and it would have been a 50-something yard field goal. But then, you set yourself up for the onside kick, and then I get a Hail Mary for Matthew Stafford to potentially tie the game. And as we saw in the Broncos game, you can easily get a Hail Mary these days. But
well, I mean, did you remember the point we made? I mean, obviously you do, because we only made it a half hour ago. But with Bryce Young and the Panthers running an 11-play drive when there's time running out of the clock, it's just you want to get the offense some experience, some work, drive them downfield, slowly but surely, matriculate down the field, boys. Who's the Rams kicker? Who's the Rams kicker?
Rookie.
No, it's Brett Maher.
Oh.
Brett Maher, probably the most maligned. Normally it's much maligned, this is the most maligned kicker that we've seen in a while, especially after last year with the Cowboys. Maybe just trying to get that confidence up. All right, you know what, Brett? We'll bring you out there. Get a kick in.
That's the best explanation I've heard so far. And I even heard Sean McVay's explanation.
What did he say?
Oh, we were just we were all over the place, and we tried to get that in cut for Puka Nacua, and there just wasn't enough time. And I was like, all right, Sean, just.
Oh, by the way, love that Puka Nacua is one of those guys where you have to say his first and last name. Can't say first name. He's not one of those one name guys. Normally that's kind of special. You say it with Shaq, Zion, Kobe, RIP, all those guys. But you don't say Puka. It's Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
And Sean McVay, they don't go with any nicknames. You hear Shanahan talk about like Debo and BA or Christian, whoever, C-Mac, I don't know.
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua. You always have to say Puka Nacua.
Yeah, that's like with Rashid Shaheed. You're never just going to say, well, I've heard Derek say, oh, I was throwing up a pass to Sheed. But
it needs to be Sheed. You got to nickname him Sheed.
Sheed. Yeah, but when you have a rhyming name, it just sounds good to say it all the time.
Yeah, true. Puka Nacua, baby.
Puka Nacua. Let me get some of your overreactions, Stephen, from week 2.
All right. I only got a few of them, but
that's fine.
This is one I think is interesting after the Seahawks and what they did against the Lions. But could we see 3 NFC West teams in the playoffs this year? Overreaction or underreaction?
You're talking about the Rams, the Cardinals, and not the Cardinals. The Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers.
Oh no, I was talking about the Cardinals. Did you see that 21-point lead they built and lost?
I saw. Well, 20-point lead. Yeah,
it was 21 eventually in the second half.
Sorry, yes, you are correct. 28-7. I'm going to say that's an overreaction.
You think so?
Because while the Seahawks and Rams look good in week 2, the Rams beat the Seahawks, and the Seahawks came back against the Lions and had a very good showing. Told you to take the over there, and that was right for me.
Yeah.
Kind of disappointing for the Lions to lay up a stinker like that at home when they have all that hype against the Chiefs, and then to lose that game. Jared Goff with a bad pick 6.
Right.
I would say it's an overreaction yet, because I'm not ready to pencil in the Rams in the playoffs. I like the Seahawks better at this point just because of who they added in their talent, I'm not ready to put the Rams in the playoffs just yet.
Yeah, I'll kind of save it for the week 2 takeaways, but I don't think that's as impressive of a win for Seattle as many people think. I actually think it's an overreaction as well to have 3. I don't know whether it's going to be the Rams or the Seahawks, but if the Rams have a healthy Stafford, they're a damn good team, and I don't think they're going to go through the Ewing theory with Cooper Kupp, where it's like, hey, he's missing, and then all of a sudden your team just plays better. Because they were just straight going for Cooper Kupp last year. If you remember, that's how Talanoa Hufanga knew that pick was coming
Yes.
for him, because he knew that they were just going to go straight to Kupp. I don't think they're going to go through that. I think they're going to be a really good team. And Kyron Williams is a decent back. No Cam Akers. I think they'll be fine. I don't see 3 NFC West teams. I think the NFC actually has a couple of more that could get into it, but I think it could be something interesting to keep an eye on down the line. All right, next overreaction. Justin Fields, not the guy. And if the Bears get an opportunity, they might have to draft a quarterback.
Well, they had an opportunity, and they traded it away.
Justin Fields, not the guy. Overreaction, underreaction, or is that a perfect reaction to have after watching that game against the Packers or Buccaneers? Excuse me.
And Buccaneers, both games. He's throwing a pick 6 in back-to-back games.
And that one against the Bucs was bad.
Yeah, to
Telling you,
Shaq Barrett.
the screen pass in the end zone, man. Get rid of it.
Well, my first reaction was, Leonard Fournette's playing defense right now? Wait, who the hell is that? Oh, it's Shaq Barrett. We're number 7.
Yeah.
I would say that is an appropriate reaction right now.
Right now.
Because there is still time for him to prove himself. He's not losing the job next week. But, I mean, you see he's playing the Chiefs, and like the best quarterback versus arguably the worst quarterback in football. I don't know. And you can make that case that it's Zach Wilson at this point, but I would say that's an appropriate reaction, and maybe something that Ryan Poles and the Bears kicking themselves over that they didn't draft, Bryce Young when they had the opportunity to do that.
I actually think it's an overreaction. I do. I still believe in Justin Fields. I'm going to keep my opinion of their offense is just poorly run, and I think it starts from the top. And I think Fields is kind of used as the scapegoat right now. The dude got sacked 6 times. Justin Fields doesn't get sacked 6 times unless the defense is getting thorough pressure there. And by the way, I think we underrated this Buccaneers defense, because it seems like, did you hear those comments from Devin White? Devin White, the linebacker, who
he's happy to be like he.
How often do you hear it? Oh yeah, that trade request? I totally regret that. I'm having a lot of fun right now. You never hear that.
He says that, but he's also trying to get paid too.
Good point. Money.
Yeah.
All right. You got me there. I just don't think they have anything on offense where it makes you say, damn, Justin Fields can fix that. DJ Moore still went for over 100 yards. I pay attention to him every week because of my fantasy team. But that run game, non-existent. I just think they need someone else to run that offense and develop Justin Fields.
I'll say this too. I was late to watching that Chase Claypool footage.
Yeah.
The fact that he hasn't been either cut or benched, like not even playing, like inactive, says something about the team.
Yeah.
We need him. Who are the receivers? There's Darnell Mooney and DJ Moore.
That's
and then
it.
Chase Claypool's the third guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You need.
They have the tight ends, and Cole Kmet and Robert Tunyon, but
Okay. Yeah. Next up, overreaction, underreaction. Baker Mayfield, he's the guy in Tampa. Keeping on the Bears-Bucks game.
Overreaction.
Overreaction. Why?
Here's the deal. While the Bucks have had 2 impressive wins, I'll say that.
You're
2 wins.
2-0. Who would have thought that every NFC or 3 NFC South teams would be 2-0 right now?
I did not expect them to be 2-0. I only expected them to win 2 games the whole season. But I'll give you a little history lesson, Steven. It's not even that far ago. The Bucks were 2-0 a couple seasons ago with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I was like, oh my God, they're scoring so many points. And then they shit the bed the rest of the way. I'm holding my breath with this Bucks team. I'm not ready to, if they go out and beat the Eagles on Monday Night Football, then I'll come back here and say, wow, okay, this team may have something. But I'm not there yet.
I don't know. Mike Evans, 6 receptions, 171 yards. He was killing it.
He
That
was killing it.
touchdown was sick.
Yeah, but let's see what happens.
God, did you see the yards after the catch on some of those? That was
Yes,
just
he had a big
nasty.
gain. Yes, I believe me. I know, Steven.
All right, last overreaction / underreaction in our just overreacting man for week 2. The Bungles, the Cincinnati Bungles. They won't make the playoffs this year. Overreaction, underreaction. The Cincinnati Bungles.
I would say, given the circumstances right now in the competitive AFC, you know what? I'm going to say that's an overreaction. Because if you look at it, there's only, I want to say, 2 teams in the whole AFC that are 2-0. Dolphins and who else is 2-0?
Well, let me take a look at that. Hang on.
Dolphins and
Ravens.
Ravens. Yeah. It's going to be like that. Now, I will say, Joe Burrow better figure out this calf thing because it's looking bad.
Yeah.
And ever since the Aaron Rodgers injury, I am holding my breath every time I see Joe Burrow take a snap. So he looks like he re-aggravated something. He had the whole shake weight thing on the sideline, rubbing against his that device looks like it like jiggles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So he was doing extra work on his calf. It's I really don't want to see Joe Burrow tear his Achilles. That would suck. The top of Aaron Rodgers and everything. Come on. He's also 50-50 about playing this Monday night against the Rams. Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah.
I would say that's an overreaction at the moment, but with how competitive that conference is, that may be the case.
I would say it's actually a perfect reaction. I would, but considering the Jets are going to be out of the running here, I think Zach Wilson kind of proved this past week rather, that with his 3 interceptions, that he's not going to be the guy. They might add a free agent quarterback and maybe they could take him to the playoffs. But right now, I'm not counting the Jets. If the Bills continue to build on it, the Steelers, I don't think the Browns are going to be a playoff team. I think the Bengals can sneak their way in there, and they are one of the small percentage of teams which started 0-2, then made it to the playoffs. It's a really tiny number, and they did it last year.
Yep.
Although last year they did not get blown out, and the second loss, they didn't have Joe Burrow limping off the field after, I think it was was it a pick 6 for a touchdown or a punt return for a touchdown? It was one of those other touchdowns which put some points on the board for him. It wasn't the passing touchdown until T. Higgins caught that sick one in the end zone and then towards the end of the game and just kind of walked away. That's so badass. But I'd call it an overreaction. I would. I think they could make the playoffs still, just because the AFC might not be as strong as we think.
I think it is strong unless you're seeing a bunch of teams beat up on each other.
Right.
Case in point, takeaways from week 2.
Takeaways from week 2. Love Chiefs. It. Dude, these transitions, we're getting good after 164 some odd episodes.
Yeah, we're finally we're catching our groove here.
Yeah,
finally.
We are. We're hitting our stride, baby.
Yeah. A lot of people say that you find your stride in the second season. I say for us, it takes about 5 seasons.
Yeah.
The Chiefs may have a defense on their hands. Chris Jones came back and had a pivotal 4th down sack. Hey, that rhymed. But they to hold that offense to 9 points was impressive. Yeah. Now on the flip side, the Chiefs didn't score many points themselves, but they didn't need to. Travis Kelce comes back and gets another touchdown on his career. The Chiefs, they may, we saw it a couple of years ago where the offense was kind of struggling for a little while. The defense picked things up. The Chiefs may be really good on defense. That may be a thing.
Well, why do we always do this every year? We always doubt the Chiefs, and at least their defense. And if I'm not mistaken, Steve Spagnuolo still their defensive coordinator.
Correct.
Right? Correct. So, that hasn't changed, and he's proven that he's a Super Bowl champ type of defensive coordinator.
2 teams.
So, I'm not going to underestimate them. I think the Chiefs are right back there. I think there's a good chance that as long as Kelce is healthy, shout out to Rhyming, and good God, are we going to Get just so many Taylor Swift references. Iron Eagle worked one in when
I
he,
heard.
we found a blank space.
You know, I love me some Iron Eagle, but it's got to be organic. It can't be Noah giving him some ideas.
Yeah. You think Noah did?
Oh, 100%. You think you like Iron Eagle's really good sometimes. Like it's hilarious where like Desmond Bain in the NBA playoffs shoots a three and he's like saying like a Bane reference from Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
He was born in the shadows, Desmond Bain. Molded by it. But you can't be like doing a game and then texting Noah, your son, being like, give me some references here I can use so I'm good with the youth, the young
Yeah.
kids, looking like Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chiefs look interesting on defense.
Who's going to be the first broadcaster to say, and Travis Kelce says, hey, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. For a touchdown.
With the way you said it, it kind of sounded like Jim Nance.
Could be Jim Nance.
Or Kevin Harlan.
Kevin Harlan absolutely would. I've heard that dude make a Migos reference on a basketball broadcast once doing a Burger King read.
Oh, do you remember when he did Little Uzi Vert playing this at the NBA All-Star halftime show, this new hit single, Money Longer. Little Uzi Vert.
Oh, man.
The Lions may have a defensive problem. They don't have problems scoring points, and then they're going to score a lot more points with Jameson Williams coming back whenever he does, I think, after week 6. They are going to be without David Montgomery, but I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is a good compliment. But they may have some defensive issues. Gave up 37 points to the Seahawks. They got a great player, Aiden Hutchinson, but as far as the rest of the defense, I thought it'd be much improved. They signed Emmanuel Mosley. I think they just lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson for the season, which was a scare in training camp, and he avoided it, but now he's out with a torn pec. That sucks. They may have a defensive problem on their hands.
Agreed. But my takeaway from that game, the Seahawks defense is what won them that game. They're the only reason the only reason the Lions were in this one is because the offense kept them in it. They had a missed field goal when it was tied. Then on the following possession, a defensive pass interference led the Lions to a touchdown. Then they missed another kick in the second half as well. Then the defense forced a fumble, turnover, gave the offense field position decent enough to score a touchdown, then followed up with a nice little pick 6 there in the second half. Like, I think that defense did everything. And then that Geno play on that third down where he's just running. Like, the only reason the Lions had a chance to tie that game, they had the ball at the 50 because Geno Smith decided to run all the way back to the 5. Look at the play. It was a negative 25-yard play.
Yeah.
Like, what was that?
So, and by the way, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's like, Tyler Lockett was great. He made crucial catches in that one, but everyone's like, oh, the Seahawks are back. They did not play a good game. The defense did, but overall, like, that offense still has some work.
Okay. And Geno Smith having the soundbite of the week 2 weeks in a row. Going from screaming when Aaron Donald comes against him, oh my God, to arguing with the referee, being like, that's a terrible call. The ref going, hey, I'm talking to America right now. Please.
I'm talking to America. Genius. Oh man.
Wait, Mark Sanchez wasn't on that game? No, he was on Niners and Rams.
It was Kugler Sanchez on Niners Rams, yeah.
That's right. Someone laughed their ass off as soon as it was Greg Olsen. It was Greg Olsen because they were doing that game.
Right. Yep.
Jordan Love actually may be good.
Yeah.
Thrown 3 touchdown passes back-to-back weeks. His defense didn't help him out there. The Falcons are good too. Jordan Love may have something here. When all of his receiving weapons are healthy and he gets Aaron Jones back, they may be able to pick apart some defenses.
Well, they're an intriguing team. Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed were the guys that scored there. A couple of rookie wide receivers. They have Jordan Love. There's definitely a base for that offense. Like, they have a core that they're building here. Maybe they need to add a wide receiver, a big, like another one in the draft. I think my biggest takeaway from the Packers is they got something to build on. And for the Falcons, Bijan is sick.
Yeah.
Like, God, there was a move he made God, he made this back cut in the backfield where he juked out two guys right on, like, basically within 4 yards of each other. If you haven't seen the play, go watch it. Arthur Smith already being aggressive. I think he went for fourth down twice in that game. And I got to be honest, like, with Smith, I'm not saying they're there now, but kind of like the 49ers, if they maybe add a piece on to their wide receiver core outside of Drake London and, start using Kyle Pitts the way that he should be used. But if you have that combined with Bijan, you get a good draft pick. Maybe kind of like the 49ers, you don't need to have like a great quarterback in order to make the offense run, just someone who knows the system. And I think that's going to be the test here for Desmond Ridder from here on out, because he's not a great quarterback. He's not going to blow you away with his talent, but I think he can run the offense that Arthur Smith wants him to run. And as long as you could do that, I think Smith's that good of a coach, kind of like up there with Shanahan. So maybe they could turn into that type of team.
No, I'm with you on that one, Steven. Just go a little faster here. Cardinals really needed to win that game.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't spells for disaster the rest of the season. Because when you're up 28-7 in the dominating fashion that they were, and to blow that lead is pretty bad. And the Giants needed that win too, just to feel good about themselves. But the Cardinals, like, that could demoralize a team for the rest of the season, especially with how they're viewed and their schedule. That was tough. Really, really tough.
Only thing
Cowboys.
I'm going to say there is either if the Texans get the number 1 pick, Texans probably aren't going to get a quarterback. So Caleb Williams, hope you like Arizona, buddy. Or you can stick in USC for another year.
Judging by the way his dad's been talking to GQ, it sounds like he doesn't want to go to the Cardinals. We'll see about that. Cowboys look like the best team in football to me. And I know, take it with a grain of salt, because they always shit the bed in the playoffs, but from top to bottom, they look like the best team in football. Not taking anything away from the Niners, but just the running game and the passing game and the way they play defense with Micah Parsons, I think they look like the best they've been in quite some time.
Micah Parsons is on a mission. That dude
should have got that touchdown. That should have counted.
Yeah, I agree. But that's
it was sweet, but also, come on.
But the Cowboys have also played the Giants and the Jets.
Very true. And to go to the Jets real quick, God, I mean, it's going to be a constant reminder every week. Zach Wilson, yikes. And not even like, I get it, he's playing a good defense on the Cowboys, but excuse me, his passes are all over the place. Like, not even accurate. Like, this guy was taken second overall, and he's made no progress.
Yep. He's the same old Zach Wilson, indecisive, takes sacks when he doesn't need to, just doesn't make smart decisions with the football, kind of goes hand in hand with indecisive. And the Jets defense didn't really do much against that Cowboys offense. I thought that Jets defense was supposed to be elite. So
yeah, they could have had a better performance.
Just a whole mess from the team playing that plays in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
What voice was that?
I don't know.
All right. What else did I have here? Just some surprising teams. Like I said, the Bucs are surprising, but I'm not buying them yet. Surprising that the Bears are 0-2. Surprised that the Bengals are 0-2. Ravens have been impressive. Lamar Jackson actually looked pretty good in the Todd Monken offense.
Crazy what happens when you get him some wide receivers.
Yes.
That deep ball to Zay Flowers was crazy. Like, it was sick.
Yeah, no, it was good. And Zay Flowers being a very good, like, security blanket for him.
Yeah, and Nelson Aguilar, I think, kind of, obviously he's got that narrative surrounding him after his stint with the Eagles, but after seeing him with the Raiders, that guy is still a very solid number 2 wide receiver if you need it. I think the Ravens have I think they've exceeded expectations already for me. So even with J.K. Dobbins hurt, I think that passing game can still be pretty lethal.
Yes. And as far as the most disappointing team of football, hands down, I think it's the LA Chargers. Yeah. And that may just be me. Everybody expected this, but Jesus. And some of the blame needs to go to Justin Herbert, because there are multiple times the first 2 games of the season where they had leads and they didn't build upon it. And they let the other offense go back into it. And Brandon Staley's to blame too, obviously. He runs the defense, and while they got more pass rush, they've gave up big play after big play. And the way he acted after the game too, he was questioned about whether or not the Jacksonville Jaguars loss a year ago has affected the team, and he obviously thinks that way because he could have just squashed it and said no. Just a one-word answer, no. That's the way Kyle Shanahan would have handled it.
Right.
Instead, he goes into a whole thing about he just sounds panicky. He's like, "There's no way that's affecting us now. There's no way affecting us now. How would you feel right now?" He feels like he's cracking, and
Yep.
they may have held on to this guy as head coach for a little bit too long.
Yeah, and being without Austin Eckler didn't help. I think
No.
actually, if they had Eckler in this game, they would have won. I know that might be simple to say, but they were using Joshua Kelly in certain situations, and
Throw passes to him. I don't,
and the that overtime drive, like I get that you have Herbert, but at least try to move the ball down the field and get a first down a little bit. Don't just go for the deep shot every single play.
well, that's what I wanted to see more with Kellen Moore, but
But in
it,
overtime, like
well, yeah, just I mean, all you need is a touchdown to win. I don't know. They must have saw something with the defense, but I do want to see them connect on some deep throws. I haven't seen Justin Herbert complete a deep throw. God, since that sweet one he had against the Giants like 2 seasons ago, where where he went to his right and just threw it downfield to I think Jalen Guyton or somebody. But
And then on the flip side of that coin, Ryan Tannehill just dropping dimes to Treylon Burks.
yep,
Tannehill looked good in that one, man.
no,
He
he
looked
did.
really efficient. Ran
It
the
was kind of
triple option for that touchdown. That was sick.
yeah. It kind of was reminiscent of when the Raiders went up there last year. They were 0-2. The Titans were 0-2. The Titans just kicked their ass. And yeah, I mean, I slept on the Titans. I think we all did. They're a good physical team when they have to be. We'll just see if it stays with that. But yeah, Chargers seem like the same old team to me, and it's really disappointing.
Yep.
That's what I got it for takeaways. Oh, one more for you. It's not even NFL related. It's college football related.
Can I get one more in on the NFL?
Sure, go for it, Steven.
Well, I'll just say this. Russell Wilson, sure, he could be back.
Oh,
with the
forgot.
deep ball.
Yes.
Could be back with the deep ball. Had that crazy stuff with the Commanders. But I'll say this. He's only half the Russell Wilson he was pre-2020 because there was that play where he got chased down by Chase Young. That don't happen with a pre-2020 Russell Wilson. And that was a crucial play too. So I'll subscribe to the whole thing that, Russ is back. Sure, he looks really good throwing the football, but he was sacked 7 times in this game. Like that rarely happens to pre-2020 Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson is who he is. He's an improved version of who he's been the past couple of years, but he's not going to be back to that MVP type Russell Wilson anymore.
I would even say the stats are misleading. I think at one point I saw like I understand they were up 21-3, but his stat line wasn't great. And the defense is to blame, obviously. When you're up 21-3 and you're able to creep back in as the Commanders, that's bad. And it may just be that this is the end for Russell Wilson. I don't want to go there yet, but this marriage, it felt like just an odd couple situation. Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon or Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. It just doesn't feel like they're supposed to be together. They're polar opposites. And not to say that was the big deal in this game because I think the offense scored enough points. It was the defense's problem. But it just doesn't look like it's just a good situation at all. And the Hail Mary was exciting, no doubt. But goddamn, Russell. Jerry Judy's wide open on the other side of the field, and you go for the guy that's covered, and he's complaining about the flag that wasn't thrown, but you had Jerry Judy to tie up the game. How are you going to have that miraculous touchdown and not tie it up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lastly,
Mm-hmm.
that Colorado State-Colorado game was incredible. That was the game of the weekend. Did you watch any of that, Steven?
No.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I heard. I was at a wedding.
I heard. Colorado State played well enough to win that game. And there was that dirty play by Henry Blackburn that knocked out Travis Hunter for 3 weeks now. Sucks. Like Dion said today, that guy shouldn't be getting death threats. It's terrible. He's just a kid. But they did play a little too much. Like they were having their coaches back. They had to defend themselves because Jay Norvell talked his shit. And they backed it up for the most part, but 14 penalties is a lot, especially for college football. And Uh, who's it? Forget the quarterback's name for Colorado.
Shadur.
Shadur. 98-yard drive, incredible. Colorado's fun to watch, man. Now they're 21-point dogs against Oregon this week, and I expect them to lose to Oregon, if not this week, then to USC the following week. But yeah, Dion's making college football fun to watch, and especially Colorado.
No, they need it for sure. I would have watched that game had I not been at a
Yeah.
wedding, but it's okay. But but it's crazy what he's doing. He's bringing out all these stars. I think I just saw Offset and Master P playing ping pong in the Colorado locker room earlier today. DJ Khaled posted this hilarious video where he's acting like it's supposed to be a natural walk from his front door to the car so he could go play golf, but he's clearly standing in just this random area so he could start walking, and he holds up his watch, his wrist, and he's like, "This is the Shadur." And they just keep going, "The Shadur, the Shadur." And then he's like, and then he gets into his car and he's like, "This is not a game. Not a game. The Shadur." This dude's like I don't know. He's made himself into like a satired character, and I love every second of everything that he does.
Yeah, no. It's fun to watch, but I expect it to kind of catch up to them eventually because when you're this hyped up and you saw Kyle Shanahan talk about it today, like he grew up, like Kyle Shanahan sounded like a kid today talking about Deion Sanders, his favorite player when he was a kid, and now that he's coaching, he's one of him. They're one of the same now. It's I mean people are noticing and it's fun to watch, but when you're this hyped up, it's going to come back a little bit of time. So I do expect them to lose probably the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you could say I don't believe. I'm sorry, Deion.
It's also nice to see a coach who really seems to support his players, and it's not to see that these other coaches do, but sometimes you see a lot of these guys like the Nick Sabans of the world really exert their power over some of these kids, especially before the NIL deals were taking place. Deion doesn't seem to be that type of dude, and he also seems to be teaching them how to like be gentlemen off the field and preparing them for the future. Again, it's not to say that other coaches don't do it, because I'm sure some do, but the way that he's handling the program, the way that he's handled everything, he's just going about it the right way, and he's just I don't know how you can't root for him. I can see how you can want him to lose because it's Deion Sanders, and sometimes it's just like, damn, Deion, what are you ever gonna like experience losing? Which he has, but you kind of want to see it sometimes. But that's great. That's what the sport needs.
And he had a great moment where a wide receiver was totally dogging it on a play, dropped the pass. Deion let him have it on the sideline, but then gave him a hug, and that's good coaching.
Right.
He's having a weekend too. Had that win, then went on 60 Minutes, had a whole profile about him, and they asked him straight up, "Who's the best coach in football right now?" And he goes, "Let me think about it, and you put a mirror in front of me, I'll give you the answer."
Yeah. But then he went on to say Nick Saban.
Yeah, no, I know. He gave his praise to Saban. So yeah, been fun to watch. Should we pick Thursday night's game?
Thursday night, give it to me.
We got Giants at the Niners. Saquon sounds like he's not going to play, but Brian Dable's making it a whole thing of he may play, he may not play. Chances are it's Matt Breida. We'll see about Brandon Ayuk. Regardless, Niners are favored by 10. Big spread. And the over-under is 44.5.
I'm too scared of that spread. I think the Niners are going to dominate, but I'm too scared of that little backdoor cover from the New York Giants. So give me the point. I'll have the Giants covering. I'll have the Niners winning. What was the over under again?
44.5.
44.5. Give me the over.
Ooh.
Yeah, an interesting one. I know they got two really good defenses. I love Dexter Lawrence. I love their interior line. I love Leonard Williams. I love everything about it. But I also think that this Niners offense is going to score 30 easily. So all you need is quick 14, 15 points from the Giants and you're good. So yeah, give me the over.
Yeah, you may not see Brandon Ayuk. I think after last week, the Giants are going to play a better game defensively. They've had duds the last 2 weeks. But it doesn't mean we're going to see a lot more offense from the Giants. I think that you'll see the Niners finally get some pass rush going with Nick Bosa, and it'll get to Daniel Jones. So I'll take the Niners to win, I'm going to lay the points, but I'm going to go under
Hmm.
on the 44.5. So there you go.
Damn, so it's truly going to be a dominant game for the Niners.
Yes. Before we get out of here, you didn't finish the show because you really weren't a fan. But Winning Time, over.
Yeah.
2 seasons. And I understand the whole thing of it, like they did it so bad this season when they had the show. I understand there's a writer strike going on, but to use that like, well, we got the show in the can, let's just show it to the masses because we have nothing else going on. It's just a bad way of doing things. It was not promoted properly. You could barely find it on HBO Max or the Max. Uh, it was supposed to come out during basketball season. They moved it up, and they canceled it after 2 seasons. That happens. But did you hear about how it ended, Steven?
No, but I also still want to watch it. It's not like wasn't a fan of the show. It just didn't have me clamoring for it every week, like needing to get to the TV so I could watch Winning Time as soon as it was released with a new episode.
Well, sorry, but that was me. Can I give away the ending real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Once it was announced that the show, well, it was announced once the season finale was over. It was announced maybe an hour after the fact from the creator of the show that the show will not be returning for a third season. So the way the show ends is with the 1984 NBA Finals, with the Celtics beating the Lakers.
Huh.
And there is a shot of Magic Johnson sitting in the shower by himself, sitting there. It was a great episode. They have Led Zeppelin's what's that song? Catch the wind sail.
I don't know.
Okay. I think it's whatever will I forget the title of the song. Anyway, that's playing while they all enter the locker room. Magic Johnson sitting there by himself, just taking the loss in, and then it ends. Then it cuts to 5 days later. There's this whole thing about maybe Jerry Buss has to sell the team. And it shows Jerry Buss and Jeannie Buss on the floor of the forum, sitting there, being like, can you believe we own this fucking team? It's incredible. And mind you, this is 5 days after they lost the finals. Then that cuts, and they have a post-credit sequence saying the Lakers would go on to win the 1985 NBA Finals, and they would win 2 more NBA Finals. And Magic Johnson would get HIV, but do so much with letting people know about the disease. Jerry West would end up drafting one of the best players of all time, or trading for one of the best players of all time, in Kobe Bryant, and signing Shaq. They played it off as if this was the way they always intended the show to end. And it came across as the most awkward ending in the history of television to me. So while the show may find a new home, and I hope it does, like there's no reason why this show shouldn't live on Amazon Prime or Hulu or Netflix. But the way that they chose to end it, with like having an ending for the show, even though clearly they wanted more seasons to show all this shit, was the most awkward thing I've seen in quite some time.
Right on brand for HBO.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, the way they ended.
Soprano, that one's open for interpretation, but I'm not a Game of Thrones guy, and I universally that sounded like that one sucked.
Well, I'm going based off the immediate reaction to it, and from what I've read, because I don't remember when The Sopranos hit the last episode, but I remember reading that people were not thrilled of the go straight to black part of the ending.
Yeah, it was confusing. I remember that.
Black, move on.
Is that the way we're going to end this podcast? By the way, the song I was singing for Led Zeppelin was What Is and What Should Never Be. Catch the wind sail. Anyway. All right, Steven. That's enough for today.
Okay.
And I need to soothe my voice after that hot sauce. That was no joke. I know everyone in the chat here is like, Derek's a G. No, that you guys didn't see. I was in pain there. That was
you're not. Let's put like a hidden camera, just in your apartment, like a microphone, so you could hear the disaster that's going to strike your bathroom tomorrow morning.
Yeah, no one's gonna think I'm a G after that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's gonna be a mess. Anyway,
It's gonna sound like the Lake Merritt fountain just outside.
and on that note, we'll see you guys on Saturday for the just a pregame show for week 3. Steven, say what you always say.
Right. It's just our opinion, man.